Hello, my friends. How are you? Welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to share another chapters of my inspirational story in London about how I became a good English speaker. So watch until the end. That will really help you start speaking English easily. Let's go and let's speak English together. Chapter 8. How I Improve Listening. The next day, I go to school again. One of the students has an important question. He asks the teacher how to improve his listening skills. He wants to know the best way to get better at understanding spoken English. Our teacher says, "Thank you for your question. Good listening skills are very important for communication. If you don't understand what people are saying, it will be difficult for you to talk with them." There are a lot of materials on the internet for students learning English. Sometimes it can be hard to choose the right materials for listening practice. Now, I want to tell you about some good materials you can use to practice listening. She explains that there are two main types of listening materials: audio recordings and films, videos. Each type has its own way of helping you learn. Audio recordings. The teacher says, when you listen to audio, it's good to understand about 95% of the words. If there are too many new words, it can be hard to understand. If possible, read the text first and look up new words in a dictionary. This helps you understand better when you listen. She continues, when you practice listening, focus on getting information from what you hear. These books are great because you can choose one at your level. The teacher suggests. Read the book first, then listen to the audio recording at home or while traveling. There are several great books you can find online. Films and videos. The teacher says the second type of materials you can use are films and videos, such as those on www.youtube.com. These are also very helpful. You can start using them when you know around 2,000 words in English or more. She explains the method. When you watch a film, start by watching it with subtitles. This helps you understand the story. Then watch the film again without subtitles. If you like the film, you can watch it multiple times. Each time you watch it, you'll understand more. She continues, it's also good to watch videos about topics you find interesting. For example, if you like nature, watch documentaries about nature. You can also watch reality shows. They are usually easier to understand because they have a simple structure. Daily listening practice. The teacher advises, it's important to listen to English for at least 30 minutes every day. When you listen, focus on what you already understand, even if you only understand a little. At the beginning, it's better than nothing. Over time, this percentage will increase. Always celebrate your progress, like understanding a new sentence. Does this information help you? Yes, says the student. Thank you. The topic of listening is very interesting to me. Now, I know what to do to get better at listening. This teaches me that if you want to be good at listening, remember to practice listening for 30 minutes every day. Chapter 9. What you need before starting English. On Friday, we had an interesting conversation in our class. Our teacher asked us a thought-provoking question. Do you remember your first impulse to learn English? Do you remember the moment when you started to learn English? I raised my hand and said, yes, I remember when I first became interested in English. The teacher smiled and asked me to share my story with the class. I began. First, I have to say that English wasn't always my favorite subject. I started learning English in high school, and at the beginning, it was very difficult for me. The structure of the language seemed illogical, and I struggled to remember words and learn grammar. It felt like a hard task, and by the time I finished high school, I was still only a beginner. I couldn't speak English well and believed that learning it wasn't possible for me. I continued, then something changed. I have always loved music, and when I was 20, I started listening to the Beatles. Their music fascinated me, and I wanted to understand the lyrics of their songs. So I began translating the lyrics into my language. Slowly, I started to understand more and more. Around the same time, I met two ladies from England on a train. We had a simple conversation, but it was a breakthrough for me. It gave me the confidence to believe that I could learn English. From that moment on, I started practicing English almost every day, and I gradually improved. Eventually, I joined this school to continue my learning journey. The teacher thanked me for sharing my experience and pointed out something significant. She said, "Your story highlights the importance of motivation in learning a new language. Initially, you didn't have much motivation, but once you found a reason to learn, understanding the Beatles' songs, it made all the difference." Motivation is crucial. When you have a reason to learn, you can make great progress. Without it, learning is much harder. After my story, our teacher asked everyone in the class about their motivations for learning English. The stories were diverse and inspiring. One girl wanted to read historical books in their original English. Another student aimed to become a professional tennis coach in England and wanted to speak perfect English for his career. One woman aspired to work for a big international company and needed English for her job. It was clear that everyone had a unique motivation, whether it was using English in real life or accessing information from books. At the end of the lesson, our teacher asked us if we liked English. I responded, "I didn't like English in high school, but now I enjoy it a lot. I see how useful it is to know this language." The teacher added, liking something connected to English, whether it's the people, music, culture, or history, makes learning the language easier. If you have a positive attitude toward English, it helps you find time to practice and achieve a good level of proficiency. To communicate effectively in English, it's good to know at least 3,000 words. Without a genuine interest, it can be challenging to reach this level. I agreed with my teacher. Now, I enjoy the Beatles' music, appreciate my English teacher and boss, and love English humor. This makes it easier for me to find time to practice English every day. On Saturday, I played football for my school team. We have some very good players on our team, and we won the game 3-2. We were all very happy and went to the pub after the match to celebrate our victory. I realized that when you want to learn English, having a strong motivation to use the language every day is essential. Chapter 10. How I learned 3,000 words. In our next lesson, a student raised their hand and asked our teacher, "You said it's good to know 3,000 words in English, but how can I find these 3,000 words?" Our teacher smiled and began to explain. You can find lists of the 3,000 most common words in English on the internet. However, just looking at a list isn't the best way to learn these words. When you see a list, the words are just there on their own. There's no story or sentence to help you understand them. It's hard to remember words when they are not connected to anything else. Lists can be helpful for simple words. These are words like apple, dog, car, and house. These are things you can easily picture in your mind. You see them every day, so it's easier to remember them. But there are also words that are harder to picture. These are words like decide or opinion. They are more abstract, which means they don't represent a specific thing you can see or touch. It's harder to remember these kinds of words just from a list. Many students start learning English by memorizing lists of words. This method can help you learn up to 1,000 words, but after that, it becomes difficult to learn new words from lists alone. To learn more advanced words, you need to see them in sentences. When a word is in a sentence, you can see how it's used and what it means. This helps you remember it better. For example, think about the word Google. This word became popular in many languages because people use it often. We didn't learn this word from a list. We learned it by hearing it in sentences, like I Googled it. Or you can find it by Googling. This shows that important words will keep coming back into your life. You will hear them, see them, and use them many times, and that's how you learn them. So instead of focusing on lists, try to learn new words through reading. Reading is a great way to see words in context. Context means the words and sentences around a word that help explain what it means. Remember, you don't have to memorize lists of words. Just read and listen to English as much as you can. The more you read, the more you will see the same words again and again. This repetition helps you remember them. The student thanked the teacher, feeling more confident about how to approach learning new words. After school, I went to my job at the cafe. I'm becoming more comfortable with my tasks. I know how to make the drinks and prepare the food, and I'm getting better at talking to the customers. Most of the time, they order simple things like coffee or sandwiches. This means I hear and use the same words often, which helps me remember them and feel more confident speaking English. However, something surprising happened that day. A customer came in and asked me a question I didn't understand. It was a bit shocking because I had been feeling so confident. I realized that there's still so much to learn, but that's okay. Every day is a new opportunity to learn and practice more. So remember, when you learn a new word, try to see it in a sentence. This helps you understand what it means and how to use it. And keep practicing every day, whether it's reading, listening, or speaking. The more you use English, the more you will improve. Chapter 11. How I improved my accent. On Tuesday, something surprising happened at my job. 2 customers, a husband and wife, came into our cafe. The man started talking to me, but I couldn't understand him, even though he was speaking English. His words didn't make sense to me. I thought maybe he was asking for something we didn't have. So I called my boss for help. My boss spoke with the man and sold them 2 coffees and 2 sandwiches. After they left, I felt confused and a little embarrassed. I went to my boss and apologized for not understanding the customer. She reassured me, saying it was okay, and that sometimes this happens when people speak with different accents. She explained that the couple was from Scotland, and their accent was different from what I was used to hearing. The next day at school, I shared this experience with my teacher. I told her how I felt unsure about my English skills because I couldn't understand the customer. My teacher listened and then explained that understanding accents can be challenging. She said that even though I understand English spoken in London, the Scottish accent was new to me and my ears weren't used to it yet. She told me that it's normal to have trouble with new accents and that with practice, I could learn to understand them better. I asked my teacher for advice on how to get better at understanding Scottish accents, especially since I don't live in Scotland. She suggested watching films or TV shows from Scotland. This way I could hear the accent more often and train my ears to recognize it. After school, I went back to work. Around 4 o'clock, 2 more customers came in. This time they were 2 ladies who were clearly not native English speakers. Their English was very basic, and I could see they were struggling to communicate. My boss noticed this and did something impressive. She switched to using very simple English, speaking in short sentences with only 3 or 4 words. It worked. The ladies understood her, and they happily ordered 2 coffees, 2 sandwiches, and 2 cakes. I was amazed at how my boss adapted her language to help the customers. After they left, I told her how great I thought it was that she made it easy for them to understand. My boss explained that it's important to make all customers feel welcome, no matter how well they speak English. She said that when people feel comfortable, they're more likely to come back. This experience taught me a lot about communication. It's not just about speaking the language well, but also about being able to adjust and help others understand. My boss showed me that good customer service means being patient and accommodating, making sure everyone feels understood and welcome. This teaches me that if you want to understand people with different accents, it's helpful to listen to them regularly. Just like learning new words, getting used to an accent takes time and practice. Watching shows or listening to audio from different regions can help you become familiar with how words sound in different accents. Chapter 12. The things you can perform at your level. On Tuesday at school, my teacher continues to talk about learning English. She says, "Learning English is like building a house." Our teacher then explains when you know 1,000 words, you have the basics. You can talk about simple things. You can say, "These are short sentences." They are like small rooms. When you know 2,000 words, she continues, you can talk about more things. You can say, "I like apples because they are sweet." These sentences are longer. They are like bigger rooms. You have more space to move around. And when you know 3,000 words, she says you can have long conversations. You can say, "I like apples because they are sweet and good for my health. I eat an apple every day," or "I go to school every day, and I enjoy my classes." My favorite subject is English because I like learning new words. These are long sentences, are like big rooms with many windows. You can see everything clearly. I think about what my teacher says. I want to build a big house. I want to have long conversations. I decide to learn more words every day. Our teacher also says to learn new words. You can read books, watch movies, and listen to music. You can write new words in a notebook. You can make flashcards. You can practice with friends. The more you will remember them. After school, I go to work at the cafe. I feel more confident. I talk to customers with simple sentences. I practice using new words. I think about the house I'm building with my words. I want it to be big and strong. When the 2 ladies from Japan come back to the cafe, I am ready. They bring more friends. I greet them with a smile. I say, "Welcome back. How can I help you today?" They smile and order coffee and sandwiches. We talk about their trip. They tell me about Japan. I listen and ask questions. We have a nice conversation. When they leave, they say, "Thank you. We will come again." I feel happy. I am building my house with words. I am making new friends. I am learning English. I understand that if you want to learn English, think of it as building a house. Learn 3,000 words and build a big house with many rooms for conversations. Chapter 13. What to do when you are shy. On Thursday, I go to school again. One student has a very interesting question. She says, I am very shy when I have to speak English. Can you help me? I don't want to be so shy. Our teacher responds with a smile. It's natural to feel shy when speaking a foreign language. You are doing something unfamiliar, and the chance of making mistakes is high. I was very shy too when I was learning foreign languages. I remember feeling afraid of making mistakes. When I did make a mistake, I felt embarrassed and my face would turn red. Now, things are different. I use languages for communication, and I care only about getting my message across. You know that I'm learning Spanish. Sometimes I still make mistakes. And yes, sometimes my face turns red. But it doesn't stop me from using Spanish. It's a natural human feeling, and it's always a short moment. I continue using Spanish because I know that using it is the only way to improve. I try to see things as they are. I'm a student and I'm on the way to becoming good at Spanish. It's not possible to jump many levels in one day. A beginner can't become a perfect speaker in 1 hour. I also think about what I mean to people around me. When I speak some Spanish, I have value to Spanish speakers. You can see the same. When you speak some English, you can have conversations with other people in English. That's great. Look at what you already know. You know 2,000 words. You've already gone from 0 to 2,000 words. Be happy about that. She continues, some students feel that knowing English means speaking like a native speaker, having perfect pronunciation, perfect grammar, and speaking without mistakes. They think that if they're not doing that, they don't know English. They feel shy because they're not perfect. These students are too hard on themselves. It's not necessary. You're great because you already speak some English. Continue working on your English, and your shyness will gradually go away. I like what our teacher says. I am also sometimes shy. I know I need to practice speaking a lot, but in some situations I don't want to look stupid. So I don't speak as much as I can. I decide to be braver and use these situations to practice more. Then another student asks, sometimes I want to say something, but I don't know the word I need. Then I stop, and I don't know what to do. In these situations, I feel very stupid. Then the next time I have a chance to speak English, I don't want to speak because I don't want to feel stupid again. Can you help me with this? Our teacher says when you start speaking English, you need to prepare for situations where you don't know a word. In these situations, you need to learn how to describe the word. This ability is very important when learning a new language. You need to train yourself to express ideas with the vocabulary you have. For example, if you don't know the word key, you can describe it as a small thing for opening a door. You already describe words in your native language, but you might not realize it. If you don't know the word for something, you describe it to the other person so they understand what you mean. You can do the same thing in English, but you need to practice this skill. Thinking aloud is a great technique to improve your ability to describe things. Use thinking aloud every day, and your ability to describe things will get better. Our teacher's advice makes me feel better. It's okay to be shy, but it shouldn't stop me from using English. I decide to practice speaking more and to be patient with myself. Learning a language is a journey, and every step forward is a success. Remember, it's normal to feel shy when speaking a new language. Making mistakes is part of learning. Focus on communication, not perfection. Practice describing words you don't know. Use thinking aloud to improve your descriptive skills. I became aware that when you want to learn English, use it as much as possible. Don't let shyness stop you. With practice, you will improve and feel more confident. So, my friends, this video has ended, but our story is not over yet. I have many experiences in London to share with you. See you next time.